Good morning, YouTube. It's a very cold, fresh morning here at the moment, about 10 degrees. Went down to about 3 degrees Celsius overnight. Didn't quite frost, but today it shouldn't rain until the evening, and then tomorrow we're getting rain again. So I thought I'd quickly do this video, which is about Boswell Bear Blend, and it's the last in my mini-series on the search for sweet bomb aromatics. It was blended by John and Bill Boswell. Now this is a Cavendish Latakia Virginia blend. You see the black Cavendish in there, brown Virginia. Some people say it's got burley, which could be because it's quite generous producing smoke. Well, the tin note was cherry and sweet with a kind of candy sweetness to it. You really get it when you take the lid off and up it comes. A little bit of the red fruit, cherry, very little. Couldn't really pick up much Latakia smokiness. Moisture is perfect just out of the tin. Did some hygrometer measurements. Right here outside it's about 68 on my hygrometer. The tobacco is about 70. I'll show you a shot. Which is perfect, so you can smoke it straight out the tin. Often Boswells are very good at hitting that perfect moisture point. And I must say these tins have something special about them because they seal very well. There's not a rubber seal in there, but I think the surface is designed here to be give a very good seal on it, so you can actually store them very well for quite long times without worrying about them drying out, which is great. It's a ribbon cut. I call it a bit of a rough ribbon cut because there are some flakes in there, but it's a nice cut. It packs easy. Doing the duty today is a Peterson Sherlock Holmes with a silver clasp, beautiful pipe, and a P-lip, and a Peterson tamper. What else? And what else? A Peterson lighter. To anyone who's struggles with tongue bite, this P-lip is a further way to help yourself, on top of course using a 9mm filter. And certainly these Boswell blends are almost all of them without tongue bite or very low chance of it. Low nicotine. That's not no nicotine, because I find out when you smoke 3 bowls of something where you think there's almost none in it, there is. But definitely low mild. The cut and moisture level gives it a nice even burn. Easy to control, hard to bite. You almost can't get yourself bitten with this blend, I think. especially not with a P lip. The topping is caramel and cherry. Some others who have reviewed this have talked about, you know, honey, vanilla, maple, caramel. Some have picked up the Virginia, citrus and grass, brown sugar. Butterscotch rings true with me. That's how I describe the sweetness, as very much a mild, and it really is mild. It's not any kind of flavour bomb, and certainly not a sweet bomb. But it is congruent with the tin note, which was also gentle and mild. So what you smell in the tin, you are getting, and adds up. Oh, excuse me, my jazz has gone off. So it's not achieving that sweet flavour bomb, but it's still an excellent tobacco. Tobacco Reviews gave it 3.4. I think I give it almost the same, 3.2. Could just be a little bit more intensive for me, but it is definitely above very good. It's in the first part of the excellent class. And as you go down the bowl, this is bowl number 6 actually, the flavours change, and right about mid bowl you get the strongest sweet flavours. So what's it like? It's well, berry cobbler is similar. You can say cupcake is a bit similar. But for example, what I've learned is don't always go to a classic aromatic if you want intensity and sweetness. This is not an aromatic. This is sweeter than cupcake and bear blend. Maybe even sweeter than Garworth and Hogarth caramel and coffee. So from Virginias and crossovers, you can sometimes get something which is stronger, you know. Stardust, for example, from Watch City and Cigars, which I talked about in my Star Trek giveaway videos. That definitely has more like Kia, lovely smoky sweetness. Well, Mr. Steinman in Basel produces a cherry vanilla, which is stronger than this one, if you want flavour, you know, so that's an aromatic though. Identity of this one, would you smoke it? I think all day or morning. Drink coffee and tea. Pipe Club of London mug with some lovely illy gourmet coffee. So YouTube reviewers who have looked at this, the great Jeff Aromatics, who is truly an expert, much more experienced than I have, did one a year ago. Classical Pipes did one 6 years ago. Northwest Pipe Smoker did one 3 years ago. And Reno the Piper did one 7 years ago. So there's a number of them out there. Well, what I think about it is, as I said, I give it a 3.2 in my score. It's excellent. Would I buy it again? Probably. It does occupy that very very well occupied space of mild sweet aromatics. So in that sense, a minor disappointment, but of course you can differentiate all of those mild smoking ones with the nuances of their flavour and how they smoke, etc. And this being a Boswell blend, no tongue bite, low nick, everything else perfect, speaks for it. So I probably will buy it again. If I can, we interrupt this review to give you a small rant about the Swiss Postal Service. It's terrible. Unfortunately, it's a state-owned, well, it's supposed not to be state-owned, but it is half of it, and you just feel it all the time. No competitive sense about this organisation. The Swiss Postal Service sent a note to the United States Postal Service saying, we can't cope, don't send us any more, we've got problems and so forth. And we all understand these things in this time of COVID and the rest, but how come the others cope so much better? The United States Postal Service gets everything to the border point and the export point still amazingly well. They're also challenged by all of these problems, and there it stops. So for the last 2 or 3 months I've got quite a few orders which are just sitting around in places, can't get into Switzerland because they sort of lie on the ground and give up. It's a very frustrating situation, it really is. And of course FedEx and UPS and all the others are carrying on valiantly, you know. Reminds me of that film Castaway with Tom Hanks, you know, where in the first part of the film he's explaining, you know, we've got to get our customers' product from A to B in the shortest time, whatever is against us. I sure miss that attitude from the Swiss Post. So they just hand the business over to the couriers and anyone else who wants to move in on this space. I mean, a weaker competitor you won't find. So I just hope one day it will show up. As far as I know, they're the only postal service in the world who have declared a force majeure and say they are not answerable for the delivery of anything. You think, well, what do they do then as a logistics company? Anyway, not to rant on too long, because I don't like to rant, but bit of a frustrating time. I can understand these problems with small companies, you know, 2 or 3 people in a very small company are not well or whatever. Absolute understanding there, but you know, that is force majeure, all understood, no problem. They're not a national organisation of the size of the Swiss Post. So I suppose it's FedEx and UPS, here I come. And cap off to the United States Postal Service, because as far as I can see, they have also carried on valiantly doing their part. It may be slower or whatever, okay, but you know, they get it to you at some kind of reasonable time. So I'm getting further down the bowl now, and the flavour is nicely intensifying. Sort of going from mild to moderate, you know, a bit, which is nice. It's very pleasant, very pleasant. Great one for beginners. Very agreeable. So I think now I'll take a little break from formal tobacco reviews because I've got too many open tins. As I smoke through my way through them, I'll make a few videos on sort of other topics. I hope anyway you enjoyed this mini-series and the other mini-series that I've done. If you're new to the channel, I do appreciate if you'd subscribe and support, and thumbs up is always appreciated. Lovely. Okay, well, you all take care out there. I think the light at the end of the tunnel is coming ever closer, and I hope the rest of the year will be maybe a little bit up and down, but mostly up for all of us. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.